Good evening. Welcome to the final edition of the Rut Report from here in Missouri. Zach and Taylor joining me here to kind of wrap up the trip. We had our final hunt today, this evening. Almost sealed the deal. It was close. We had a lot of good activity this evening. Finally found a good field of deer. For myself this evening, we moved locations midday and got into this final pinch point where we heard there was a bunch of deer going in this field and saw an absolute giant. For what we've been seeing all week, it was a great deer, good solid 10. Had him at 100 yards and just couldn't get him to close the distance. He was going to some other does, so that's kind of what happened there. We also had two spikes right underneath us, which was pretty cool to see. Always fun to be, seemingly on the X. So yeah, and that's kind of what happened with us today. It was a long day. We left the house at 10 after 4, I think, this morning, or a little after 4:30, somewhere in there, and just got back a little bit ago. It's late, so all day sit proved a little unfruitful, but we learned a lot this week. It was a good trip. What are your guys' takeaways?
I think the biggest thing for me is finding the does. So this morning we were hunting the same spot we had the last couple of days that we've been seeing bucks, and they were really just feed to bed pattern. And we saw one buck this morning. It was very slow, sat till about 10:30ish, and decided to pull out. Go to a spot that you guys sent us over that you'd seen does previously. As soon as we got in there, we saw does and bucks. Had a good 8, just didn't take the trail we needed him to, and couldn't coax him in with the grunt tube. So that's, for our takeaway, it's like we need to find the does because that's where the bucks are during this time of the year.
That time of year for sure. What about you, Taylor?
I think it's so important to just stay mobile, right? I mean, there's a giant piece of ground. We've never been here before. To be able to just drop pins and look at them on the app and then go in and be able to find the tree and climb it is really important. I mean, we have a very limited amount of time to try and get the job done, and it just makes it really hard to go set a stand and then go back a day later. Right. You can't do that. So stay mobile and make it happen is really important.
Right. I think mine is just not leaving deer to find more deer. I think, like Taylor was saying, with such a giant area, there's all these pins we had set from the get-go, and it's like, okay, I want to check this out, and this place is 2 miles away. We don't have an e-bike, so it's going to take us an hour and a half to walk there. I think when these all-day sits, it gets kind of tough to kind of stay the course and understand that if you've seen does feeding here, there's going to be a buck joining them at some point. So I think it pays to also not leave deer to find deer and know that it could turn the corner pretty quickly, which it did this evening. And I think we made a fatal mistake of not being in the right corner, but you just never know. That's
hard to tell. You can try to play the wind, but regardless of the wind direction that you're looking at, sometimes because of the thermals or the way that the ground actually lays out, the wind will be just slightly different. And, I mean, those deer know how it works, right? So
there's just so many ridges they can come down. I think the country we've been hunting, compared to a lot of other whitetail spots where there's just a big flat chunk of ground with bedding, timber to feed. It's interesting that this place actually sometimes acts like a mountain for a little bit, which has been cool coming from the west to sort of put those tactics in. So
beautiful rolling hills, and it's a chess game. And you just really have to have an element of luck in there. Right. You can do everything right and still strike out big time. So you just got to keep your spirits high, and it's the chase that we're all after. So overall, I mean, super successful hunt, great time with great buds, and we saw some good running activity. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's really dependent on what does are in front of you. Yeah. Because you could be in the best spot ever, but if you don't have the right doe walk by, you're not going to see the bucks. And there could be a guy 500 yards away that would tell you 10 out of 10 rut activity, best day ever, but just because you had the ladies in front of you and you had the right mix, and you can't control that. It's out of your control. Yeah.
We're coming up on the end of the middle of November here, and I think now is when we're probably going to all switch over to the sanctuary system too. It's about to get cold. We had a nice day today, but you can tell there's something in the air that it's about to get cold. So make sure to check those out. That's our biggest insulation piece. And they'll probably be in the link of this video, but that's kind of what we're headed for now. I'm going to Nebraska next week. Do you guys have any other plans for the rest of the fall?
Just going to be mule deer stuff, rifle mule deer stuff in Montana for me.
What about you?
I'll be on the eastern shore in a couple weeks hunting Sika deer, and then headed up to Ohio. I got some cell cameras here at my piece in Ohio, and they've just been, dinging off all
Yeah.
week. I got some bruisers up there,
Sweet.
so I had one, solid 150 class deer just tending a doe in front of one of my cameras all day today. So
Nice. That's
hopefully-
awesome.
Hopefully he's still around in a couple
Right.
weeks.
Right. Well, best of luck to you both. Thanks for coming. It's been a blast, and
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good rest of your week.